Hello there. In this video, I want to talk about a person's right. A very controversial, if I spelled that right, topic. I changed my mic, so I hope my voice would be quality of my voice would be better. Anyway, let's jump right into the idea. Here I opened two page, one from Wikipedia and the other is from Stanford University, I guess. I read some of these, but honestly this is so complicated and very true. And if I want to go through all this, it would be like a 30 to 40 minute video. So even if I can understand all of these, it's so short, but this one has a lot of context. It's basically this guy idea about right, and he says a person right is related to free will, and free will is not totally true, and that is related to economy, property rights, contracts, moral commitments, family life, and economy and legal system, and the government. This is very general, but we're going to talk about some basic stuff that we all deal with every day. Some simple and understandable stuff. First, let's start with what is a person's right. Well, a person's right is something that literally belongs to you, or it is right for you to claim it, to have it, to do it. Okay, so how should I know this is my right? Well, speaking in general, it's very hard, and my from hard, I mean, it's very difficult to totally describe it. It would be something like this article, I suppose. But let's do a very simple example. Imagine you're in a taxi and the taxi fare rate is like $1. Okay. And you give $1 to the driver, and he says, no, it's $1.50. It has been increased. A lot of shitty excuses. And he wants to take 50 cents more from you. In this place, in this example, it is your right to not give that 50 cents, because the fair rate is $1 and it is not $1.50, and that driver is wants to somehow take your right, maybe. And this can be other way around, like you're only giving like 70 cents and not $1. In this example, you're not giving the driver right. This topic is very complicated, honestly. It has a lot into it. So we're gonna talk basic, just like what we're doing now. But let me do a little more complicated example. Imagine you do a work for, I don't know, $100 or something for a person. You do it, uh, it, it's a work. It may encounter some problems along the way, some issues, but the work will be done at the end. And when you finish your work, like 95%, but it's literally finished, and you ask for your payment, the person who wants to pay you says, I'm getting my money from a third person, and that third person has kept your money, so I can't give you. It has some other factors, like 50% of the payment has been received by you, for example, and other 50% remains. That person says you should do that 5% so I can give you your total payment. In this example, you're seeing that this is very tricky, and the question comes, what is right about this? Honestly, what is right about this? It is your right to get your total payments or not at this point. Imagine that 5% doing is going to take like 3 months to complete. And you need the money, right? You did your work, most of it, and you need your money. So what now? In this place, I would honestly prefer to take my right with my own hand, or at least try, maybe even pull some tricks to get it, even if this is not totally my right to take all of this, considering that 5% remains and that person has the right to keep some money. You know what I'm saying? For the insurance that I'm gonna do the work. But in my opinion, if that person says, no, money should stay, 50% of your money should stay with us because 5% hasn't been done and it's gonna take 3 months, that's not totally accurate. It's not even accurate at all, not even totally. You should try your best, pull out any plan you got, tricks, anything at all, to get your right, because some persons, a lot of persons, they don't want to they don't want to give you right, especially in this kinds of example that has some turn into it. It's not very clear what law says about this, like taxi fare rate. It's a little complicated, so both two person should reach a agreement on this. So you should try your best to get you right, because that person is not going to give you. Getting right would be like a war, if the other person thinks like this and I'm thinking like this, it would be a total war, right? But let's see it from this way. Imagine that person is already thinking this way, that is doing something to you, you know? It is my right to keep this guy 50%, right? And I say, no, it is my right to get my 50%. So, the rules of the jungle. would be in place here if I set the grammar right. Anyone who is stronger gonna take the right and is going to get the money. Okay. That was a scenario that I explained. But there are some tips that I like to share. You know, personally, I am very sensitive about my right. And that makes things very difficult to decision, think, and even plan when it's about right. You know, if a person, for example, in this scenario, if that would actually be real, I would be pretty in thought and angry about this, and I couldn't think very sense in sense about this. Sorry for the stupid grammar again. But anyway, we shouldn't be like this. It's just make things harder. I know it's hard when a person try to take your right or not give it to you. It's hard. It is mind blowing. But we should keep our cool plan to take that right because it ours. It is ours. I was pretty emotional right back then. And yeah, sometimes you should fight for it, fight for your rights. And it is hard to get it sometimes, but we should be keep it cool and we shouldn't get emotional about this as much as possible. I know it's sometimes very hard, but we should keep that in mind. Another tip that I want to mention is that sometimes you should accept that you can't get your right. Sometimes you fail. You should just accept it and continue. You know, if you have this mindset, you know, that emotional state that I have to get my right person, or the sensitivity would be better, and your state, your mind would be more free. You know, sometimes it's just you can't. You you're not the winner about this. But there is always a next time, right? Life is not just winning things. It's honestly mostly you losing things. And yeah, you should keep that in mind. Maybe sometimes you can't get you right, and you should get okay with this. I didn't say much, but it's already like 20 minutes. These kinds of topics are very time taking to talk about. Yeah, I guess that's most of it. So fight for your right and accept that sometimes you can't win your rights, and maybe sometimes it's not even your right, and be chill about it. Don't be sensitive and emotional. That's all. Thanks for having me.